Just a Peek by Charles P. Tillery. Narrated by the author. What is a poet? In the eyes of those who anxiously seek perfection, a work is never truly completed, a word that for them has no sense, but abandoned. Paul Valery. Poems are fascinating things. They can tell stories, express emotions, or articulate thoughts in ways more resonant and impactful than any other medium, other than song, which is only an extension of the form. Poems have a specific flourish and, combined with their relative brevity, are able to evoke images and meaning in unique and powerful ways. But as satisfying as reading a well-crafted poem can be, nothing is more rewarding or torturous than writing one. Hours spent drafting, revising, and refining only a single line of verse. Days spent collecting and arranging the right words in the right order. Weeks spent pondering, rereading, agonizing over flow, syllable count, meter. That's not to mention how successfully the meaning of the poem is conveyed, whether the symbolism is clearly illustrated or a motif carries coherently through a piece. As much as I enjoy poetry, I've largely only casually engaged in the pursuit. Even still, I've held on to the odd poem scribbled onto the back of a spiral notebook or jotted within the margins of a page. I never finished them, but I've never abandoned them either. Until now. Some of my efforts weren't salvageable. Others had to be scrapped for parts, an odd line, a theme, a structure. But a couple of them were close. That surprised me. It also motivated me. It is a triumph to write a good poem, and I hold a deep residing jealousy for the few capable of composing a great one. I do believe there are good poems in this collection, despite my inability to complete them. Despite all the poems I've attempted to complete, I've never thought of myself as a poet. The idea seemed grandiose, even pretentious. But if you consider what makes anyone anything, at least in the most basic sense, can't anyone be a poet? A carpenter builds buildings, a hunter hunts game, a lumberjack chops trees, a poet writes poems. The title itself doesn't denote quality, and I believe I was hesitant to call myself a poet because I didn't think it was a title I deserved. Over the next several pages, I've collected several recently abandoned poems. Some are old, some are new. None are finished, but they're all mine. Does that make me a poet? Charles P. Tillery, October 2021. Square Peg. I walk the water and wade the grass. I fly the seas and swim the sky. I eat my drinks and drink my eats. I sleep until I ache my souls, and then I wake and rest a bit. I close my eyes and look around. I touch my thoughts and think my hands. I have no goal but make a plan. I put square pegs into round holes, and then I dream out loud a bit. At night. At night I see birds nest. I might as well sing with them. At night I hear bells sound. I might as well ring with them. At night I see girls weep. I might as well cry with them. At night I hear hounds howl. I might as well lie with them. One raindrop. There's nothing like a storm, a mighty tempest gale, the thunder and lightning, the crashing of the hail. I watch it all in awe, nature's fury let go, dwarfing acts of man, an incomparable show. It pours and pours and pours, no sign that it will stop. It's staggering to think. The start was one raindrop. Cosmic slight. I'm always an afterthought, out in space alone. No unlucky lot I've drawn, the doing's my own. A black hole of emotion in place of my heart. Virgin event horizon, feelings can't depart. No satellites in orbit, no stars light my soul. A lonely astral remnant, longing to be whole. It grows colder every day, drifting aimlessly, ever irresponsible, and yet shamelessly, left to wander in my thoughts, places I have been, planets that I've left behind, not to glimpse again. A lone singularity, lost but not afraid, set out on my fruitless trek, left but should have stayed. So I float and dream and hope in eternal night. Daylight doesn't reach this far. Such a cosmic slight. The seventh night. I've been at sea for 7 days, and all 7 days I've sailed. I've run out of rice and beans and oats. My stomach does now ail. My boat is leaky, my clothes are soaked, and I'm in quite a fright, for I do not believe at all that I'll survive the seventh night. Everything for you. If I only had $10, I'd buy a single rose. I'd buy your favorite candy bar to make sure that you know. If I had $100, I'd take you out to eat. I'd let you order anything and even pick our seats. If I had $1,000, I'd spend it all on you. I'd buy you books and scents and shoes, that ring you wanted to. If I had $1,000,000, I'd fly you around the world. I'd take you everywhere you want, 'cause you're my favorite girl. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you, nothing I wouldn't give, because a life without you in it isn't one I wish to live. Home. A wind blows outside my door. Snow falls on children playing. The fireplace burns bright red. The television's blaring. A candle loses its flame. Hot cocoa sits on the bar. My wife calls downstairs to me. Her voice resonates within. I pause and take a deep breath and go to see what she wants. Life is a snail. Hours I tracked this small brown snail, tracked it along its slimy trail. I tracked it right here to this spot, and in this spot is where it stopped. I guessed it had no place to go. I guessed this 'cause it moves so slow. Not a single care in the world. Before me my life laid unfurled. Before it only tomorrow. No tears for any past sorrows. Only eyes for what's straight ahead. Freed from anxiety's vague dreads. I grew jealous of that small snail. Envious it did not travail. Atop him sat a spiral shell. I think I'd like one just as well. Wondered if it would trade with me. Let it live my life, then I'd be, for only just a day or two, balancing life in a snail's shoe. Finally living blissfully, carelessly, and remissfully, instead of walking a knife's edge that rests upon a narrow ledge, where one misstep meant disaster, damage done no slime could plaster. But besides slime, what's a snail got? They have no plans and stake no plot. Shell on back obliviously, wasting their time frivolously, scavenging for what they can find. All that they pass is left behind. No guilt of yesterday's errors, or fear for tomorrow's terrors. Neither do they have desires. There's nothing to which they aspire. They won't be missed when they're missing, won't be kissed when they need kissing. Then I pause to think a moment. For the snail life's no opponent, wandering the wild without care, but when it's home, who else is there? Life isn't easy, I concede, but I get kisses when in need. I am missed when I choose to go. I live and love and learn and grow. So stress may not be all I've got, and what I've got, though not a lot, is more than this brown snail can dream. Even in dark my future gleams, but the snail's future's cloudy gray. It's nothing but another day. Sheltered. I wasn't taught to thrive, wasn't taught to fight. I was taught to survive, taught to run and hide. Hired. A darkness broods within, his countenance worn thin. The murder plot unfolds. This story will be told. Villainous as it seems, this dark and twisted scheme. Of one thing there's no doubt, disaster will play out. A contract signed in blood, it won't rinse clean with suds, cannot be torn to shreds, its edict can't be fled. The deed it will be done, by knife or noose or gun. He's quite the killer touch, the means don't matter much. His victim unaware, so innocent, so fair. Alone at night in bed, her life hangs by a thread. What wrong has she performed? Of that he's not informed. His job is plainly clear, as cold as it appears. To rend her from this plane, a weight hangs like a chain, heavy around his throat, but not from actions rote. His morals aren't the cause. Murder gives him no pause, and the weight quickly falls, with his victim in thrall. The weight comes from the weight, the only thing he hates. Acts of brutality sate his carnality, a sadist to his soul, a heart as black as coal. He'll revel in delight of her dying fright. He stares at her asleep, so peacefully, so deep. He takes one final breath, then sends her to her death. Lukewarm. Oh, that's straight and narrow. It's too much work for me. Walked it once before, but have long since let it be. Full of good intentions, I walk the road to hell. Though not fond of where it leads, I do walk it well. A lukewarm servant of God, that is what I am, and the lukewarm servants are the first he will damn. Addicted. Your love is what kills me, a slow drip to my vein. Your poison's like honey, the most pleasant of pains. Your scent as alluring as the beautiful blooms, while your bittersweet flavor disguises my doom. I don't even fight it, so used to the abuse. The cuts are just skin deep, the worst kind of excuse. My new-grown emotions are the limbs that you've pruned. I watch you pour venom straight into their wounds. Too helpless to leave you, so I don't even try. You have what I need, girl, and it's keeping me high. The sadist inside you can't be sent from above. Just let me pretend the thing you give me is love. I want you. What do I want? Don't tell me what I need. Just tell me, baby, please. What do I want? Before I fade in the evening, my last thought's always of you. When I dream in the morning, I always dream about you. When I wake up from my dreaming, I wrap my lips around you. What do I want? Don't tell me what I need. Just tell me, baby, please. What do I want? You're not the second or third thing. You are the first thing I do. You're not my reason for being. There's just no point without you. I do not work for a living. I work so I can see you. What do I want? Don't tell me what I need. Just tell me, baby, please. What do I want? Even longer. I've loved her every day of my life. I'll love her even longer. I'll love her through the day that I die. I know I'll never tell her. Fortunate fog. He wades through the humid night with his mind outstretched, grasping for a reason, as if from the air so thick with fog his skin grows damp with the vapor that beads, then streaks down his face in thin rivulets that hide the salt streams of tears cried for old regrets he replays in his mind over and over, countless times every night, that blur into something like a waking nightmare, unending in duration and unceasing in its torment. But even through the misery he feels gratitude for the weather that allows none to see the tears on his face, the despair on its surface, or the hurt beneath it. For never. I dreamed that we would be. I dreamed of us forever. Forever never came. For us, there's only never. The Old Gray Man. Are there any who'd still care to listen to a man whose eyes no longer glisten? To a man that's lived the best years of his life and not long since bid farewell to his wife? That loss greatly dimmed and diminished him, left him spirit broke and his outlook grim. Gone is his infectious, radiant glow, replaced with a numb feeling, all he knows. The man whose presence once sparked every room sits in a corner, the picture of gloom. All one sees whenever they look his way is a shrunken old man, tired, dull, and gray. All the things he could share locked up tight, never spoken, only dreamt of at night. Knowledge gained from a life lived unafraid, wisdom whittled through a life lived decades. He battled through war and prospered in peace. War stole more than prosperity increased. Brothers swallowed and forgotten by time, without suitable reason or rhyme. Steve stepped on a mine, Frank hit by shrapnel. The whistling mortar was Jacob's death knell. Their stories he'd freely share with any, but the visitors he gets aren't too many. He'd tell the story of Elizabeth, from their first encounter to her very last breath. They stood side by side from the first day they met. Hands and hearts locked, they met all of life's threats. Undeterred by any struggle they faced, the thread of their love is the line they traced. As far as children, they had only one, a bold, stubborn, and broken-hearted son. It's been too long since he's been around here. Some due to hurt, but mostly due to fear. Not wanting to tread over salted earth, he gave his old man too wide a berth. The old man just thinks of days gone before, and waits for the mercy of death's sweet sword. Muse. The woman is a dream, a ghost, an apparition, an ethereal gleam. She incites my inspiration, wafts in sunlight as a nymph, a magic creature. The beauty she has entices my admiration. Hair flows like a flame, it glows, warms my very soul. Racing thoughts she tames and eases my enervation. When I see her eyes, gray-green, peer into my core, this is not a guise, but immortal aberration. Then there is her smile, sincere and very soothing. She charms and beguiles, her aid without numeration. Dancing all over, her song slinks into my ears. Crimson and clover initiates restoration. No regrets. Time is up. I'm moving on. The last may not have been many. The stay's short. The visit is done. Regrets, I do not have any.